Hi, welcome to the driver's seat. My name is Miles Branman, and this is the 2016 Mazda CX9, a crossover from the often forgotten Japanese automaker. So let's see how this stacks up with the established competition. This is Mazda's second generation CX9, and the first one was a good success, but had some issues that led to a recall. Now the second one, all new design, all new platform, and it is a beautiful car to behold. This Kodo design language wraps around the entire exterior. So most of its competitors use a V6, and the previous generation of this car also used a V6, but Mazda scrapped that, and this year they went with a brand new 2.5 liter Skyactiv turbocharged 4-cylinder. On 87 octane gas, it makes 227 horsepower, but if you put in 93 octane, it'll make 250 horsepower. But across the board, it makes 310 pound-feet of torque from 2,000 RPM all the way up to the red line of 6,000. So now that we've climbed into the back seat, you can see I've got the seat set for me. I'm 6 feet tall. There's plenty of room back here, spacious, good amount of headroom, and these seats can slide forward to back, they can recline, they can come up, and they can fold flat. So as Mazda's largest crossover, it needs to have the most utility. This one, with the seats up, it has 38.2 cubic feet of space. With them down, gets 72 cubic feet of space. Everyone knows crossovers are the hottest thing right now. So what is the Mazda difference? Why would you pick this over things like the Ford Explorer, the Honda Pilot, the Nissan Pathfinder, the Toyota Highlander, Pathfinder, so many of them. Anyway, why would you pick this one? Well, Mazda's difference is that they say they make enthusiast vehicles because they are enthusiasts themselves. So how do you make an enthusiast vehicle out of a crossover? Well, the way they've tried to do it with this one is to keep the weight down. It's that Skyactiv technology. It's why they made a 4-cylinder turbo instead of sticking with that V6. It's lighter, and that torque is still there, so it has plenty of punch. This drives like a very light car, which is a weird thing to say about a mid-size crossover. They're big vehicles. This is still a big vehicle. It's smaller than the Ford Explorer, but it still has plenty of space. But what does it mean to drive like a lighter vehicle? What does it mean to drive like a smaller car? It's just the way it handles itself on the road. Steering is direct. It's a bit of light. It's a little light because it's an electronic steering system. There's only so much you can do to calibrate around that, but it's a fun car to drive. The all-wheel drive system is making 200 adjustments a second. And that means that if you're cornering, if you're driving aggressively, or however you're driving the car, it's tailoring itself, it's tailoring that all-wheel drive system to your driving behavior. So we're driving around in the Signature Edition, which is the top-of-the-line trim for this car. And it brings with it a few things you just can't get in other trims. First of all Signature Edition cars have that all-wheel drive system standard. If you don't get the Signature Edition, the all-wheel drive system will cost you an extra $1,800. On this car, standard, along with Napa leather seats in this auburn color, which is actually beautiful, and this Japanese rosewood trim, which I haven't decided if I like it or not, to be honest. It has that textured feel to it, which is very pleasing, but it also looks like it could fade over time pretty easily. We'll find out. But in this car, it works with the auburn leather, it works with the other aesthetics of the vehicle. You also have standard, the 7-inch Mazda Connect system with apps, integrate your music. It's pretty easy to play around with. Actually, it's one of the easiest systems I've found of any new car. It's not so crazy advanced, but just being able to hop in the car and get to anything you want is really rewarding. In terms of seating position, ride quality, comfort, they're all pretty great. The only issue I've found in terms of my positioning is not visibility, actually. That's good. It's the fact that I can't see this head-up display system. I'm at the lowest setting for the seat. It's an automatic seat, and I can't see half of the display. So anyone who's 6 feet or taller, and I don't have a really long torso either, you're gonna have issues using some of the functionality of this top-of-the-line trim. The CX9 comes standard with 2 drive modes. There's a normal drive mode, and if you toggle this little switch here, it turns it into your sport mode, which just adjusts the throttle mapping, quicker response coming out of the hole. And because you have 310 pound-feet of torque, it'll really get moving quite quickly. And this 6-speed automatic transmission goes through the gears very well, and in that sport mode, it'll hold your gear for much longer than you might expect out of a crossover. Let's put the foot down for a second. not too shabby. And it also makes an interesting noise. That turbocharged engine has this kind of whir to it that's it's kind of fun to ring it out. Other features of this top-of-the-line signature trim, you have all your standard safety goodies, all the new technologies that are out right now, your lane departure warning, your blind spot monitoring, your active braking assist, those kind of things. And you can option them in separately, but in this car, you can turn them off, you can keep them on. It's good to have them. You know, my one biggest fear for this car was that you'd have to sacrifice something. When you buy a Mazda product, you know you're getting that fun to drive nature, but sometimes it comes at a cost of build quality or features or that kind of thing. I'm not experiencing that in this car. And yes, I'm in the highest spec trim, but the fit and finish is great. The amenities are perfectly on par with what's out there. The ride quality is, I mean, I'm just kind of blown away at how great this car rides, especially for something that handles as well as it does. It's really remarkable. I'm very pleased with this car. And then there's that final thing, which we talked about it a little bit already, but it's that it just looks really good. You know, you don't feel so weird driving a crossover, at least. I don't know the market for this car. They're in it for just having a crossover, but I don't feel strange driving something that is as big as it does because it looks like a tighter car. It looks like a fun car to drive. It's a pretty package. That engine does not get old. The torque is, it's pretty great. It's thrilling, actually. In terms of other little things that Mazda seems to just do really well, their steering wheels. They're the right size, the right thickness. This leather feels great. Other automakers should take some notes here because they just can't seem to match the kind of texture and quality of these wheels. All right, so there you have it, Mazda's 2016 CX9 crossover, and it starts at $32,000. This one, the Signature Edition, the top of the line with all-wheel drive and every button and whistle, is just under $45,000. But you can get a pretty nicely equipped one for $38,000. And I mean, if you're looking in this family crossover segment, this mid-size segment, this is pretty much the best option you're going to have for something that's attractive, fun to drive, that doesn't just look like everything else out there. I mean, you got the Pilot, you got the Pathfinder, you got the Explorer. They're all great crossovers, but this really stands out among the pack.